Hello, and welcome to another episode of Janina Podcast. I'm your host, Christian. As you know, this is a podcast dedicated to Christina Aguilera and all of her artistry, where we also get to know other fighters' stories and share in anecdotes. This is a really exciting episode. I have two special guests, Jake and Ashley. They're both so knowledgeable. They know everything about Christina Aguilera. It's always super exciting to talk to them, and I end up learning something new from them each time. This is probably going to be a long episode, I can tell, because we just love to talk about Christina. So we're just going to get right into it. So this episode is going to be about Scott Storch, and we're going to pepper in a little bit more about the other producers like Linda Perry, but primarily Scott Storch and a little bit of the drama that happened with Stripped. So let's get into it. So where do we begin with Scott Storch? We're going to talk about many of the producers, like the contribution of Linda Perry, but also Scott Storch, especially because that clip recently, like he was on that podcast and he was talking about his time with Christina briefly. And he got into the drama, which is some news that we hadn't heard for a while, right? Like we didn't really get his perspective.
Yeah, I didn't even know he was still alive.
No.
Shady.
Ow.
But it's fair because he was
that was kind of
addicted.
random to come about.
Yeah, I didn't know until like he spoke this last time that the whole like drama was started from Irving Azoff.
Did it start from him?
Allegedly.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So according to Scott, when he had worked with Christina previously on Stripped, they had given him provisions, right? Whether it's hotel stay, money for food, you know, it's basically like almost like a retainer or like an advance of sorts.
Oh, yeah.
So everything went fine working with Stripped. Him and Christina got along great. They made obviously quite a few really well known hits. He enjoyed working with her. And once everything came about and they wanted to work on Back to Basics, Scott was contacted and he's all like, okay, well, you know, as long as I have my advance so I can come out and have hotel, food, blah, blah, blah. The ability to work. And I guess Irving contacted his manager and said, no, he should be happy to work with Christina. And that's that. And he needs to just come out here and just do what we tell him to do, essentially. And he was like, what? That's not how that goes. Like, I don't understand. Like, why are we even, what? So he's like, call this guy and call Irving and ask him exactly what he's trying to get at here. And Irving starts just railing in on Scott, like, you know, like he doesn't need anything. We don't need to have to pay him. He should be happy to just work for Christina and just be on the album and blah, blah, blah. And of course, since Scott's sitting there on the other line, he's all like, really, dude? Now I want this. So then he started asking for just like obnoxious things. Like, I want to stay at this hotel. It was like I can't remember what hotel it was, but something really obnoxious. I want $100,000 for food. I want this. I want like $5,000 a day for this. You know, it was just all of these astronomical demands because he just pissed him off. And well, after that, you know, of course, Irving was like, no, not happening, bro. And but Irving kind of sat there and went, oh, because he was on the line and he knew that he was talking trash. So Irving is known, he has a very, very, very derogatory name. I don't even know if we should really say it just because like people will get upset, but he's known as the toxic little person. Let's put it that way because of his stature. He's really short. So he, of course, went to Christina and spouted off to her and said, you know, oh, he wants this and he's demanding this and we need this and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, well, screw him. We don't need him. You know, and I guess apparently that's how F.U.S. came about. And that was where everything,
right.
Like in this podcast that Scott was on, the guy was all like, have you heard this song called F.U.S? Or no, wait, no, I'm sorry. Scott said, did you know she wrote a song called F.U.S about me? Which essentially means F you, Scott Storch. And they're all like, what? And the podcast guy, he was like, dude, this sounds like a scorned lover. Like, it sounds like you two guys had like a thing. And he's like, we had a little bit of a romance, but you know, like he wouldn't say per se. I'm like, I don't think so. Maybe in your
Yeah,
head.
which I didn't really. Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah.
Right?
I didn't like that
He's
part. I
like, we
was
would lay
wondering.
down
No.
together and cuddle. It's like,
That was
yeah,
weird.
maybe. But, you know, maybe
And also, that
maybe
was
they
like the
did.
first we've ever heard of any kind of
Yeah, right?
relationship like that with
Because
between the two of them.
she was still dating George, which I mean, of course, we know how that ended. Which he
Oh
had
yeah.
something to say about that too, which was kind of like,
Yeah, I thought she was
Well,
maybe starting things with Jordan already.
so my
no, I
timeline
think,
is what I thought about is because at she broke up with George like right before, I think, because then whenever going into Stripped, initially she did a bunch of tracks with Dallas Austin, and that's where she had
Right.
the like situationship with him. And then things got kind of like weird. But what I remember think was that Dallas Austin was also kind of like affiliated somehow, like they ran around the same circles as Jordan. And so that's how she met Jordan.
Right.
And he was doing A&R, and then so I thought they were already dating, or maybe it was just casual. But anyway, so allegedly there were all these
Maybe they
like
were just
Dallas
starting
Austin
out, but yeah.
tracks. Yes. So she scrapped all those tracks whenever things got crazy. And if you'll remember, he went on, I think, YouTube, and he made a video about Christina. This is off topic, but he talked about how Christina and Joss Stone, and like his words, they fuck for tracks.
Oh,
And
wow.
then later on, he had to go back and recant that because, he just said it wasn't in his character. Obviously, he's like a scorn lover at that point.
Hmm.
And that was like trashy. And the statement from Christina's, I guess, rep at the time was that she's looking into possible like legal action or whatever, was in their
Right.
capacity at the time.
Yeah, I could see how that might be true just because Christina and Joss are somewhat similar. They're both vocalists and kind of
Uh,
soulful and stuff. So I could see that being true.
but
But
fucking for
about
tracks?
no, no. What
Okay,
he said
okay.
that they were competing for songs or wanted the same kind of songs. Like I could see that
Okay.
being true. I don't think Christina ever did that for some songs. She doesn't need to.
Not for a song. She just probably, because you're with a producer. I imagine you get feelings and being vulnerable.
Well,
But
I feel
yeah.
like Dallas Austin was almost the first version of what happened with Scott. Because even if
Oh, yeah.
she had a little thing with Scott or whatever, I thought at the time she was probably starting things up with Jordan, but I'm not
Probably.
positive at the timing. I know she broke up with George around like September 11th, '01 and stuff like that. She said that.
The plane crashes. That's what tore them apart.
Yeah.
oh no.
Is that too soon? Separately, I was going to do a whole like episode on Dallas Austin saga, but I feel like there wasn't enough meat to it. But we might as well throw it into this one. Um, there were things online that were saying that Christina, it was really derogatory because I was trying to find, they did a really good job of erasing the YouTube video because at some point there was the YouTube video where he, talks about Joss Stone and Christina, and they like wiped it from the internet. I could not find it anywhere. So if somebody listening, has it or can find it, let me know. I would want to see
That's
it.
cool.
I
I never
actually
even
Um,
heard
know
about that.
nothing about this with Dallas
oh,
Austin.
really?
I always knew that there was somebody that she dated between Jordan or what's his name, George and Jordan,
Okay.
but it's
Oh,
always been
Dallas.
kind of like hard to figure out who it was.
Yeah.
But I also, at that time, I didn't have a computer and I kind of forgot about it. And then I recently found out that
Yes, right.
I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. She did date somebody at that time, but I don't know who it was.
No, I'm pretty sure it was Dallas. There was a rumor at the time that it was Toby Maguire or some shit like that, but it
So
was,
weird.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I had heard that she dated some
Oh, yeah.
actor or something, but I didn't hear Toby Maguire,
Oh, that would be so random.
right?
It was.
I honest to
Oh,
God
yeah.
thought that she had, I know that this is really speculation. I think the guy was even married at the time, but I really thought there was something between her and Dave Navarro. But that was like
It might have
before
been. Might have been.
Jordan. I
She
don't know
was
if he had
asked
black
about
hair.
that. Yeah, no, she was asked about that in a magazine article, and she said no because, that's like Carmen Electra's thing, and they were together at
Yeah.
the
Oh, yeah.
time. And she denied that, but she was asked about it once.
No,
Oh,
and
dang.
that's yeah, I totally believe that it didn't happen, but there was like that moment during the MTV Music Awards or whatever when they were performing together, and there was like this look that he gives her, and I'm all like, no, but I know
Yeah.
that
Oh,
her. I
is
don't
it
think
the
that she would
moment
have
where she's
done
like,
the Pussycat Dolls with Carmen Electra if that had happened, because
oh,
I think
right.
that would have been pretty
Right.
not. No, I don't think that would have happened at all. But it was one of those
Unless
moments
they're
where I felt like
polyamorous or open.
that's kind of what Scott Storch was trying to say about her, kind of.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Okay, so that was
Well,
another thing. Even with
good.
Dallas Austin, sorry, even with Dallas Austin, he was trying to say that well, it was blogs, and they were all like, really old, like 2002, 2001, whenever allegedly they were around each other. They were saying that Christina was into some like really freaky things, and of course, it was like there's no substance behind it. Like, where did they get these
Yeah.
rumors? They were saying like it's really bad stuff. So if you want to go
Yeah.
look it up, go look it up. But yes.
Like I agree, but even like if she wasn't totally exclusive yet with Jordan or
Oh,
stuff like that,
yeah.
because the Ain't No Other Man lyrics, she says like her lover's past and present tense. And so she
Mhm.
kind of says in a way something like that. Like
Like
that
as
when
if
she
she
was
was
starting it
dating
out with
around
Jordan,
and just kind of doing whatever
she
she
might have been
wanted.
dating. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, as well, that's their business. You know what I mean? Like at that point,
totally.
I don't give a crap. I really don't care. Scott Storch's thing was talking about how she wanted to make it work so badly with Jorge,
Oh, right. Yeah.
because I guess like she kind of knew that he was into guys, but she was really trying to make it work. He was like, yeah, it seemed almost like she had like this thing to want to try and turn gay men back straight. And I was all like, I don't think that was it. I think she was just in love and she was heartbroken that
Yes.
Right.
it wasn't working
Yeah.
out because he
Yeah. I
was
Totally.
hate that he
realizing
said
who
that.
he was and she was realizing that it wasn't going to work. And I think she was just sad about it. And I think at that moment, he kind of almost took advantage of the fact that she was sad and he would probably cuddle with her and do whatever he wanted with her type of thing to try and like get on that side with her. And she was probably not having it because we all
Yeah.
know
Right.
that Scott had
No.
demons.
Oh, for sure. But he's also like, I mean, I'm sure he is really talented, but he's
Oh,
not
yeah.
attractive
No,
at all.
that's the worst
At
part,
all.
right? That is the worst part
Yes.
because they made magic together. They really did.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he even said he's
Mhm.
They
all
did.
like, it
Yeah.
was her best selling album. And we made magic together.
Hmm.
And it sucks because like her next album like didn't sell nearly as many copies. And that's Back to Basics. And that's kind of debatable because Back to Basics was, I mean, still a hit and she still won
It went
Grammys
number
for
Oh,
it
one.
and
yeah.
everything else. Like he kind of got real bitter about it, but he's like, yeah, her next album sold like what 2 million copies or something like that. It's like, no,
So dumb. Like Back to
no, like don't
Basics
be such a
went to
girl.
number one. Yeah, Stripped didn't even go to number one, but Back to Basics did. So that's
Oh,
fine.
yeah. Didn't
Yeah,
it stall at like number 2? Like that was like the
Yeah.
highest it got. Yeah.
Yeah, but
it's
Uh,
so
also just real quick
like
about George,
oh,
yeah,
yeah.
there's such a misconception. There's just a misconception about that relationship. She went into it knowing that he had a history like that, like with other
Like
guys and stuff.
bisexual.
oh
Yeah, and she knew
Okay.
that. So that's just so whatever Scott said, that can't be true. She's not trying to like convert people. And then that's also not why they broke up because she was heartbroken or found out anything about that. She went into it knowing that kind of. So that's just a big misconception about
I
him.
didn't know that.
Dang.
Yeah. She
Also,
herself has
oh,
said it a couple times that she knew.
I didn't know that. Well, did you know that Cool by Gwen Stefani was originally supposed to be for Christina?
Yeah, I've heard that recently. Yeah.
Yes.
I have
Love
never
that
heard
song.
that.
Which is by Dallas Austin, and that's probably why I
Oh,
didn't,
okay.
yeah,
Ah,
continue to be with her. Mhm.
It's a good song.
Oh, yeah, it's one of my favorites.
She would have killed
So
it.
I'm
let's see.
trying to like hear
I
it.
know, right?
It's been a long time since I've listened to that song. I can only hear like just part of the chorus.
Okay, and so for the Stripped album, most people credit like the entire album or most of it with Linda Perry, but really she only did like what, 3, 4 songs? Is it 4? 5.
Yeah.
Makeover, I'm
Which ones
okay,
are they?
beautiful.
Okay.
And
Did you do Soar?
no,
No.
that doesn't have Linda Perry on it at all.
What
What
is
was
the
it?
I think Heather
Oh,
Holly was
that's
actually
what
on
love
Soul.
can do. but it wasn't on the album. It was on
Okay. The bonus
the
Target.
yeah. I'm pretty sure that's what Love
Wait,
Can
was it
Do
really just
was
3?
it. I think so. On the album
Oh,
itself, yeah,
wow.
I think so.
So then the
Unless
majority
I'm like
of...
having like a moment.
Yeah, I'm
I
trying
don't
to
think you
think, but
are.
it,
I don't think you are.
More
I think
like
that you're right. It's just
3.
those 3.
Yeah.
And
And
then, well,
they
because most of it is Scott Storch then.
yeah, no, I was just gonna say, it was like a thing at the time that when Scott didn't want to or wasn't invited anymore to work on Back to Basics, that he went and worked on Paris Hilton's debut album, which he did. Like all the songs on that pretty much are produced by him and stuff,
Oh, yeah, I
and
remember hearing about that.
co-written and produced. And I had heard something about that back in the day that he, like Christina, I think said that in an interview for a second, like that he went to work with someone else and stuff like that, and it was Paris
Right.
after he couldn't get his jet from the record label or something.
Yeah. So it's also like misleading because we think all Irving probably told her about was that last part where he was being a diva, but not the
Mhm.
beginning part where he wasn't given that set price just to come out and like work on the album. So maybe that's
Yeah.
misleading. I think he was also talking about Christina, but also Back to Basics. And he was talking about how, like, he would love to work with her, like, again. Maybe he just realized that she doesn't, like, it's not mutual. So maybe now he's bitter. Maybe like, Pink got to him.
Well, I'm
I
sure that
don't
pissed
know, man.
Christina off. I'm sure she wasn't into him making demands and raising his prices and shit like that.
Oh, yeah.
I also wonder though, like how many possible feuds kind of started because of her management. Like
Oh, yeah.
I was kind of pondering this with Christian, like when he had sent me the video of Scott, because
Yeah.
like now I messed up and I was saying that I thought Irving was the one that went in guns blazing into that Lady Marmalade meeting that pissed off
Like
Pink so
meeting. Yeah.
badly. But it was, what's his
Ron
name?
Fair.
Ron Fair.
Yeah.
And
Wrong.
now that is the one thing that it seems like Christina kind of surrounds herself with is people that they're not necessarily yes people, but they're people that hold her up, right? And they're all like, "This is the
Yeah,
best.
Yeah.
This is our best, and we expect you to give her the best because she is our best."
right.
And I think after like certain parts of her life, whether getting made fun of for trying to become famous or just being bullied, her dad, all these other things, having that kind of like unusual support system around her kind of like made her feel safe. And I
Yeah,
think
for sure.
when Ron Fair went in there and he was all like, "You're going to give her the highest part, you're going to give her this, you're going to give her that, you're blah, blah, blah." And Pink stood up and said, "No, I think this is what the meeting's about. She's not getting that. We're going to figure it out right now." And I think that was like that moment where it snapped, where Pink and her could have been friends, but decided not to be because, like it wasn't so much what was happening, but it was like the attitude towards, right? Probably. I always imagined that, I mean, Ron Fair kind of started it because who knows if those two women had met outside of a situation, if they actually would have been friends or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because as
you're right.
soon as
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
happened, they were immediately going to start catfighting with each other. And, like,
for sure.
so Pink Cat fought first. She took the first swipe because Ron was all like, "She's perfect. She's going to get it." And then Pink sat up and went, "No." And then Pink sat in her chair and Christina went, "Fuck you." And then it was just more "fuck you." And then it was more "fuck you." And it just continued for years and years and years until they still to this day are doing it. And Linda Perry, that was also the other one, which everybody's all like, "Oh, well, Linda Perry, Pink had worked with Linda first," and everybody is siding with Pink saying, "Oh, well, like she encroached on her idol." But Linda
Right, but
Perry
Oh,
that's more
yeah.
approached
like Linda's
Christina.
fault. Yeah,
Linda
that's like
approached
Linda's
Christina.
choice
She
who she
didn't.
works with.
Yeah, Christina didn't approach
But
Linda.
also, yeah, but also, like, Pink can't get upset because, like, yeah, she did bring her back from, like, obscurity, but at that point, she was inspired and she wanted to be a producer and work with other artists. And if she saw Christina, like, she has to eat too. Like, she has bills to pay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was actually Ron Fair who suggested that Christina work with Linda. I'm pretty sure
Oh,
that's how that came about.
I
And
heard that they were
but
in a
what I was
bar
gonna
together. Yeah, so this official story that I heard from like Linda Perry or somebody was they were at a party together, Linda and Christina, and somebody introduced them. And, Christina went off to just go be Christina because she was young and kind of in on herself at that time. She was just like, Linda said that she went back to
she was
her and she was
frustrated
all
and
like, she approached her because she's all like, you have a darkness in you. And I think you need to tap into that. And if you want to tap into that, you should give me a call. And that was
hmm.
how, Makeover and I'm Okay was written. But, she had Beautiful. And that was what really sparked it because I guess apparently she played the demo because she had given her a call. I said, all right, let's see what you want to do. And Linda started playing the piano when she got there, and she was playing Beautiful for her. And Christina's like, I really like that. I wouldn't mind trying to demo that, And Linda's all like, this isn't something I think you should do. Like, you are beautiful. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't think that this is like your scene, man. And she said as soon as she got her into the studio and she had brought a friend with her, and that's where that little "don't look at me" thing comes from, because that's the demo. Like, literally, like, I think that was the first time they recorded the track is Beautiful. That's it. Like, according to Linda, when they did the, what was it? The VH1 Storytellers or whatever. She said that
Mhm.
that was the first time that they
The
had recorded
first,
the first take all the way
yeah,
through. But good for them
yeah, that's
because
true.
that was beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, I think Pink has overstayed my or like I just don't care anymore. I do not care anymore. She needs to get the fuck over it. Okay, thanks. I
Yeah,
said what I
well,
said.
yeah, they made up for a while, like
I
about a
know.
decade ago on The Voice and all of that, but then Pink starts seeing what like the fans are saying online and gets thrown off by that and starts talking shit.
Yep. And she just
Maybe she hit her
decided, as
head in one of her
Christina
aerial
said,
acts.
to poke her under the
Yeah.
table and stop poking me under the table. Rude.
I think that also when Christina said that in that interview, I think that was about J-Lo too, by the way.
Wait,
Oh,
why
Lo said
J-Lo? I thought
something.
they'd recently just followed each other.
Because, yeah, no, because at the time she had said that she was wanted for that VMA '03 performance originally with Brittany and
Oh,
Madonna,
Oh,
and they went with
I don't know.
Christina, but that was like at
Maybe.
the same time.
I don't know. I don't follow Lo enough, and I don't think that it was as malicious as it kind of sounded when it was Lo, because she was like, I don't know. She's Lo,
Yeah,
dude. Like, honestly,
no,
she's kind of her
right.
ego is so big. I'm surprised anybody else can fit in a room with her.
Well, Christina has always like openly been a fan of J-Lo, but I know that during that like Call Her Daddy interview, it was around that same time when J-Lo said that. So I'm sure Christina was just hearing all this stuff in the media, and
Yeah,
that's what that
she's
and it
comment
was
was.
after the Pink thing. So maybe it was like a
Yeah,
culmination of like
both.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah, could be. Yeah.
yeah.
all of that.
I think it was,
So let's
yeah, it
see.
could have
What?
been less directed at Pink and just kind of directed at quite a few people, like even Britney and the whole
Hmm.
like,
Yeah, yeah,
because
exactly. The
the
dancers.
the dancer thing, which, might I say, quite a few of her dancers were also Britney's dancers,
Yes,
like
true.
Sarah and Jay and, oh god, somebody else too. So it's like, what are you trying to say here, chick? Stop that. Stop it. Just because, like, your dancers were her dancers. What are you talking about? Or her dancers were your dancers. However you want to state that. Because I think Sarah danced with Britney before she danced with Christina. I think. But I mean, God, Sarah's been dancing with Christina since Burlesque. So, or if not earlier. I think
Oh
about
wow.
2010 or so. I love Sarah. She's so sweet. We talk on Instagram a lot. She's such an
That's.
angel. She's really sweet. Mo and
Mhm.
Jerry, all of them, they're all great. I love Christina's team, the team that she has around her. I haven't met
Mhm.
Sarah, like her new manager, but I follow her on Instagram. She seems really nice and sweet. I love that. Put it on the list, Sarah. She shared
Oh,
that
I love
around
that.
like
Yeah,
Christmas or whatever. Put it on the
that's
list,
cute.
Sarah.
My
I
gosh.
like the fact that a lot of the people that she has worked with, she's worked with for a very long time. Like the team that she has around her has been with her for so long, like Jerry and Mo and Sarah and Paul and all these beautiful people that she has around her all the time. Etienne, I mean, God, they've been together since The Voice now. I mean, I know that he does a lot more
Yeah.
stuff with like Lana now and even Mariah.
Oh, yeah.
He just shared like
Oh,
pictures
yeah.
of working with Mariah. I was all like, traitor. No, it's
Well,
just
because she shares
playing. I'm
them,
playing.
but also what Christopher Buckle, he also was
Right.
both their like go-to
Yeah,
as well.
I saw a really cute video of Christopher Buckle walking her through like the backstage area of, I think it was the American Music Awards.
like when she had the fan.
Oh, the fan.
Yes,
Yeah, I saw that.
the
That's cute.
fan, and she's walking. Christopher
Yes.
Buckle's like walking her around. So cute.
So
She's so
cute.
freaking tiny. Everybody looks so
Yes.
small next to her, or she looks so small next to everybody, rather. But yeah,
So
her
then-
management, her team.
Well,
It's
I think
interesting.
also because there was a clip I posted it on TikTok, and it had to do with I think I was talking about the choreography, and Josh had told me that the particular dirty choreography that she was doing was the one that she enacted, I guess, during the experience, where it was just kind of like a little bit understated. And it's kind of boring, but also, she was a bit heavier. And he was saying, that was the particular choreography, and she was still doing it because we were talking about the Pride that she did in LA. And because she has been working with Jerry for forever, we were kind of talking. Oh, the TikTok comments were saying that, she does need to get, or they were recommending new like leadership because, a fresh vision could like shaken things up that have gotten a little dusty.
I don't disagree. However, she has said that Jerry like knows how she moves and knows what kind of choreography works for her and stuff.
Yeah.
Because she's not necessarily such a dancer, but
Yeah.
she really can dance, and he knows what works for her, I think. I think she's built this really great team over the last like 10 to 15 years. She's really like gotten this great team together and cemented that in a way. So, and yeah, it would be cool if
Yeah.
she shook things up a little bit and worked with some other people, but still, like,
They're so close now at this point. I think that like it would almost feel like it's an interesting thing because it seems like to me, and I'm not sure, like I've said before, Jerry and his partner have what, House of Sam or something like that, which is like the production
Yeah.
company that they do a lot of stuff. They do work on The Voice, and they do a lot of they do The Masked Singer. They do lots of different
oh,
choreographies and production. Good for them. Because, you do need to eat, like you said, and Christina's not always like
Yeah.
on tour, right? So they're doing other stuff. And they
Yeah.
have created a nice little empire for themselves. And of course, because Sarah and Teddy and Mo and they're all involved, they all get to be involved as well with these other shows. In fact, I think it was Mo's son was on The Masked Singer as one of the dancers in the background too. Like they're getting him involved now too, which is really cute.
nice.
It's just a giant family. I know that like I think that with the new album, like everybody's all like, well, when is she going to actually release it? I think she's actually busy finishing it. I think that she is. I think we'll hear something by the end of the year, just based on how out of the limelight she is right now. She's really stepped
Right.
back. And
Yeah,
she's
how
just,
little I've thought that, like how little we've been hearing from her. I know she's working on it.
yeah,
I can just tell.
she's busy doing something.
No, she's
and
actually
no, it's not just lube.
she's
Oh my
working on the next
God.
formulation of the lube.
I mean, granted, they are getting ready to release a new product, but no, I'm just, oh my God.
Yeah.
A vibrator
I
that you
really
can
feel
control
that,
with
like,
your
I
Nintendo
think
DS.
that by the time September rolls around and she's doing that weird festival, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but this festival that she's doing in September in San Francisco, it feels so out of the ordinary for her. Like it's EDM
Oh, yeah.
music. And I'm like,
I love it
okay,
for
like
her. I'm so
Prodigy.
glad she's doing
like,
that.
like
I feel
I'm
like I don't know
fine with
she
it,
anybody
but
loves
who's
it's kind
going.
of surprising.
Yeah.
Are y'all going? Because Jake, you said you're not going,
No.
right?
No, I cannot make it out there. That'd be nice, but
Yeah,
I think
Yeah.
it's cool for her. I like that
me
she's
neither.
doing that. And like I've told you, Christian, before that, and like Christina's a fan of Prodigy. And so I think that's
Mhm.
so cool that she's at a festival with them.
Could you
Oh yeah,
imagine
gosh, I
her
cited
doing like
them
a more
as like a
like, what's it called? Bionic driven set that would be more EDM focused, and like that would be really cool. And then somehow, some way she involves Prodigy. Could you imagine what that,
I
oh my
mean,
God, that would be so much fun.
that'd
that'd be
be
so cool.
very cool.
As somebody who literally still has Fat of the Land in their car. Like I have
Yes.
that CD still in my car. Good times.
So then, which songs are Scott Storch's on
Oh
Stripped?
God.
On
Okay.
like
So
all of
if you
them.
go through F.U.S, then we wrote Loving
Yeah,
Me for
all of
Loving
them.
Me,
Me for Me, Walk
Can't
Away,
Hold
Can't
Us
Hold Us
Down,
Down, Fighter.
All part of our
Don't
history.
Forget Infatuation, I'm a Fighter, Feeling Underappreciated,
Underappreciated.
um,
Oh, and then
Can't Hold
she
Us
doesn't
He
Down.
reference
did
Did I?
"Keep
keep
on
on
Singing My
singing my
Song," right?
song.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yes, he did.
that's 7, right?
Yeah, something like that. There's quite a few. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty good. But
Mhm.
yet, so Linda does get
No,
most of the credit. Like,
yeah. It's funny because I guess
that's
because
substantial.
her song won the Grammy, and maybe that's why, because I think
Yeah,
Beautiful won the Grammy. So everybody thinks of
right,
that song, and it is still to this day probably one of her highest, played songs at least. Because if you think
right.
Yeah,
about
one
it,
of her
every
signature
time you
songs.
see her, she sings that song. I don't
And Fighter.
dislike the song. There's so many songs in your
Mhm.
catalog. It would be interesting to see what Scott and Christina could do now, but I don't think that will ever happen, But
Oh yeah,
it has been so long, you would hope that somehow, some way, the air would get cleared up and they would figure out that it wasn't a negative towards Christina and it wasn't a negative towards Scott. It was somebody in the middle kind of playing them against each other. I would love to see what they would do now, what kind of
well, not after that podcast,
masterpiece they could, but I don't think they will be anytime soon.
right?
Yeah,
But
I
I
don't.
mean, I wouldn't mind seeing what her and Linda would cook up again. That'd be interesting. Linda really does have the ability to pull out some beauty when it comes to specifically pop stars. She also was like a manager for a while of a different band that I like. And unfortunately, because of the type of band they were, it made it too commercial and it didn't really work
Hmm.
very well. Like they had been really raw and really rock and beautiful, like just dirty, good, old fashioned rock music that you just don't hear anymore. And Linda cleaned it up a little too much, in my opinion. And while it works great for pop stars because it still had that darkness in there, but it didn't have the raw. And that might sound
Yeah, yeah.
weird because like Linda does bring out some rawness, especially in Christina, but Christina's so freaking polished and so what's that word that I'm looking for? She's like a perfectionist, right?
Like
Linda
perfectionist. Yeah,
takes
Mm.
that down a few notches and pulls her back and says no, let's
right.
try and be a little bit more raw, whereas she cleaned up the other band way too much. Funny
Hmm.
how that works, but
What band is
um
it? Now everybody's gonna want to know.
it's a band called Dorothy. I'm actually getting ready to go see her in October. It'll be my second time seeing her. And that's mostly
Oh, really?
because somehow, some way she has found herself like full Christian band. And I'm only really
Oh,
going because I know that she still plays her old stuff too. While I'm glad that you're sober now and I'm glad that you're on your path, I miss a little bit of that
are we talking
rawness.
about Dorothy or Scott Storch?
Dorothy. Scott Storch is apparently sober now too. Good for him.
Yes, good
Like
for
I said,
him.
demons. Demons.
Yes,
He had lots of demons apparently. Apparently they like to live in
I
his
know.
nose. I don't know.
Well, because like he went bankrupt, right? Like he
I
ran out
don't
of money and stuff
He
because
did
he was
for a
like
while.
overspending. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that he
Something like that.
definitely had a moment of partying that didn't end well for
Mm.
him.
About Irving was that I think he was really good for Christina's career in terms of getting her out of the situation with her former manager at that time and stuff like right before Lady Marmalade. That's when Irving stepped in. And I think he was really good for her career and her creative freedom. And we wouldn't have Stripped or any of that without Irving. But I know he's like associated with Lou Taylor and the Kardashians and certain people in the industry who, make me feel a certain way about him. And so I don't really doubt what Scott says about him and the rumors and his nickname and all of that. I don't doubt that at all. But I do think he was good for Christina's career for a time there.
Right.
I think
But
he
he
was
was
good
like
for Christina
older.
until Bionic came out. And it feels like after Bionic and after all of that happened and everything went the way it went, it felt like RCA kind of failed her a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. Even with
Because,
just
like,
the single choices, the choices of the
yeah.
singles, it's like, come on, you can do
And
better
then
than that.
they really failed her and pulled plugs on stuff for Lotus, which, like, I think that the first song was a good choice. Was it Your Body? I thought that was a good choice.
Yeah.
But the second single
Yep.
should have. Wait, what did we get? Did we even get a second single?
Yeah, we got
I think it was unofficially
Let
just a
There Be
fool.
Love. Oh, well.
See, and
We got
Let There
like
Be
that
No,
Love.
fan
remember
video for Let There Be Love. We got that
yes,
little video. I felt like that
for
was
iPhone.
kind of the second single, but
That
Yeah,
because that was
I feel like
unofficially.
yeah,
I
it
feel
should
like
have
the
gotten
third
like an
single.
actual production.
yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah,
because she
officially, like
sang.
Just a Fool was the second single officially.
Yeah, because she sang it twice. Once on The Voice and once on the Ellen Show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
with
they
her
didn't
Party
give. I
City
think
wig.
because if you look back at Let There Be Love, like that video, like it's like probably one of the first things that Paul and Jerry probably did production wise, because it's them and their family. It's all the dancers dancing and like choreographed
Oh
and
yeah,
for like the voice, what's it called? Like rehearsals and stuff like that. And then you've got Nicole Richie in the video, and you got Simone Farouche,
Well,
something
it's
like
pretty
that.
much just like on the
It was
set
all her
of her
team.
Maxim photo shoot. It
Yeah,
was pretty much
that
yes,
shot
too.
on the set of the
yeah,
Maxim photo shoot.
Yeah. And then
which is so random and tumble beginnings too
no, it's really sweet. I
for their
like it. I
production
just
company.
wish that it had gotten a big production. I was actually just talking to Bonnie, the woman that wrote the song, and she had
Oh
talked
yeah,
about how she wished that she had seen a big production video for
for
it.
the actual single.
And for the actual single, she saw like, I just want to see her being like this goddess that's just spreading love everywhere type of thing. I don't know about that, but I wanted to see something for it, some big production. And Bonnie was like happy to know that she does close out most of her shows
A
with the
Munster,
song and
yeah,
stuff like that. She's like, yay, I'm so
Right.
happy to know that she still sings it, because,
yeah,
but, it is what it is. And I feel like after about that time, that was why I think that, and then what Liberation came out, and that was, again, they just didn't put a lot into it. I mean, I love Liberation Tour. I really do. I'm really sad that I didn't get to go, but RCA just didn't give her much of a budget for it, very obviously.
yeah, yeah.
And
It
while
did seem
I'm
like it.
actually stoked on that because I love it when she does more of like a laid back, like, and lets her vocals shine and less production. She
Right.
is a production diva, and that's what makes her happy. So, I,
Yeah. Christian, did you go to the Liberation Tour?
Yes, in
Oh,
Houston.
you did.
I just
Oh, okay.
remember it. It looked like she was on a budget,
Stop.
but it did, but she did a lot with the modest budget, and
No, she did. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and
I
she
mean,
played the
when you
hits,
compare it,
and then
I was just saying, when you compare it to Back to Basics, yes, it looked like it was on a budget.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Back to Basics was huge,
even stripped
like
because like
huge.
yes,
I think it was more of a budget than her residencies, but just a little bit, not much.
Yeah.
you think so?
Slightly, slightly.
I think the residencies had a better budget, especially Voltaire. But Voltaire was very nice. Like, well, she did a
I
lot
felt like
with.
Voltaire had no budget really,
Really? I think it's
because
just
it was
also
just really
because the
costume
whole environment.
changes. It wasn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The whole environment is very beautiful. Like it didn't really need
Those
anything.
costumes
It
cost more than
fit.
But I think like the
nuclear
experience,
costumes.
yeah, I just think like the experience, for example, had more of a budget with like that Lotus that opens in the beginning and different production, like the set production, that's a
Oh, okay.
big part of the budget. And whereas Voltaire, like they already have the stage and everything set up, and it was more
Yeah,
about the costumes and stuff like that.
totally.
And the Liberation Tour, they still had some little sets here and there, and that big chair that she came out
The
in
big
with.
table.
Yeah,
Basically, she
yeah,
just went to a furniture
chandelier.
consolidation.
Yeah,
I need
Oh
the biggest
no.
table. I need the biggest chair.
biggest chandelier you can find. Yeah.
Yes. But,
I like
she
all
did a
the
great job
sconces
because,
that she
like,
had too. Those are fun.
oh, I
Yeah.
All the
don't remember
like
those.
candelabras
I
and
just
whatnot.
remember because, I really like Liberation. The parts of it that were good are great. And, like, there's that clip. I remember Ashley, you had mentioned that you still, like, love listening to Twice.
It's a good song.
Right? Okay. And so periodically I'll listen to even that clip. I wish like there was a good like quality like version of like the tour version because like she was having fun with her vocals and like her range, like she
Mhm.
started deeper but we got those great performances and she sang Deserve and I love that song. And I love the part in the Liberation Tour where she like turns the camera on the audience, and that's like the wedding. Like she's appreciating like being back on the stage
Absolutely.
again and being with the fans, and it just felt like really emotional.
Yeah, that tour was like a warm up for her, I feel, in terms of getting back
Hmm.
into all of that. And then came the
Yeah.
experience, and she was a little more there. And then everything else after, she was kind of more ready
Yeah.
because of that.
Yes. And so I don't think like the budget was a lot for the tour, but I think it proved like she doesn't need all the excesses because
Mhm.
with just her voice, like she can command that stage.
Yeah. Like I said, I would have
Yep.
been more than happy to go because I kind of like that
Yeah.
pared down version of what we
Oh my
got.
God. Well, that's the thing. It was very pared down and like low budget, I guess. But there were certain factors that were really cool, especially the first few shows. They stopped doing it after the first few shows of the experience, actually, when they had like bubbles and incense and all these things coming out that kind of immersed the audience in the show too. And then they kind of stopped that, but that's the kind of
Really?
production stuff that is
So
cool,
I
I
went
think.
Oh yeah, because
and
like in the beginning they were
Yeah, they
gonna
did it.
satisfy your senses of smell,
Yeah,
taste, and all
yeah.
this. Yeah.
And it did
went in
happen for the first
September
few
and they
shows, but
did
that
it.
eventually stopped.
Oh dang.
Mm.
I wonder when it stopped because like it started what in
May
May?
2019.
I think it was
Yeah.
May, and by September they were still doing it because that's when I went.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
And then
Didn't
I
you go to like 4 of
was
them, Jake?
I did. I did.
yeah, but he lives in Vegas, so whatever. Like
Yeah.
that's how
It's
that
like
happened.
I'm just gonna go out to eat and see Christina.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
seriously, it was so cheap to. I'm not cheap, but it was so affordable to go. Like if you
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
lived in
not bad. Yeah.
Vegas and you were a fan, like it was pretty easy to go to. It was like for those pit tickets, I paid $100 for them, and that's
Right?
like
Such a great ticket.
okay, sure, yeah, I'll just do that. And it was like if I had
Mhm.
lived in Vegas, like there was a girl that was sitting
Well,
next to
yeah.
me or standing next to me rather in the pit, like, and I'm all like, how many times have you gone now? And she's all like, well, I live here, so this is my 6th time. She's all like, I
Right.
just keep
It's like,
coming.
yeah,
Wow.
I did I paid that too for the pit. However, yeah, I live here. I don't have to travel here and all of that. Get a hotel and all that.
Yep.
Yeah. So I could see how it's way more if you don't live here.
Yeah, no,
Totally.
we went on a Saturday night and my hotel room cost more than the tickets to go. And I had to rent a car and all that stuff too. And we stayed at Bally's, I think it was, and it was like a $400 hotel room because, well,
Yeah.
Well,
now it's
next time
more
we can
too,
just
but
crash on Jake's couch.
it's like, you're invading my space. Get out. Too many fighters. Ah.
I know if I knew you at the time, I didn't yet.
Anything else
So
you would like to
funny. But
say about Scott Storch or anything?
I'm good on
well,
it.
he's an
Like I
On
said,
asshole for what he said.
he's a jerk
yeah.
for what he said. Absolutely. That was uncalled for and unnecessary. I'm glad that he is doing better addiction wise. Good for you. Gold
Mhm.
star. And I really would and I know that this is just Fantasyland, love to see what they would come up with now, 20 years later, but I know that it wouldn't happen, and I'm fine with that. I am okay with that. But I am like that curiosity because they made such good magic together. They really did.
Yeah,
I would
I
love to
agree.
see what Linda and Christina would do now. That would be interesting.
Yeah, I think
I would,
one day, I feel like one day she'll work with some of these people again, I think.
yeah.
I like to think
Oh, so there was somebody, I forgot who I was talking to, but with Linda, it was funny because I think on the episode with us, we were talking about how, so with one word, there was a whole like copyright thing. Because I think, she sampled the song, I forgot what the original song was, but they didn't get the rights or whatever license to use it.
Are you talking about
Oh.
Overload
And
by
then,
Sugar Babies?
oh, yeah. And so that was the second one. So that one with Makeover, it was the same situation where they had to go back and give them credit. And then now I'm just like, oh, dang, I wonder if her bag of tricks is like running out. And because the only reason I say that is because of Genie 2.0 and Beautiful You Are What You Are.
I love
You
I like
hate them?
Genie,
What? What's wrong with you?
I like Genie 2.0, but I think especially because like whenever she did the melody on the award show, it was great because it was just like the right amount of Genie, and then it segued and it climaxed.
That was cool.
Whereas the whole song of Genie 2.0, it kind of just stays stagnant throughout like the whole. I'm like, I want it to go somewhere. And then You Are What You Are, I feel like it takes away, because it's so robotic, it takes what made Beautiful so special. Like maybe they should have
Right.
chose a different song to do.
Yeah, that was just, I think, the
Yeah.
timing, and I
Yeah.
think that's very much obviously the direction Christina wanted to go in. And she was
Yes.
saying that
I think
Bionic
she was just playing
was
playing
gonna
around.
be like You Are What
Yeah.
You Are. Yeah, You Are What You Are was like the influence for where she wanted to go, even though it was so whatever.
I will say, I don't know who
It's like
produced it. Do y'all know?
Dynamite too was fun.
Oh yeah,
I
Dynamite.
love Dynamite.
Yeah, it was fun. It was frothy. It was like nothing too serious. And that's
Who
what I think
produced
about it.
what?
I was like, oh yeah. But who
That's kind of
did?
how I feel about Keeps Getting Better. A lot of people love that song. That's like one of the ones that maybe it's because the video was so cheesy, in my opinion, it really was.
Yeah, it
But
was.
that was not, I don't know, lyrically,
Which you
the
would think
depth,
the video would have been better because of the
huh?
director, but because
Right?
Yeah.
yeah, it
I
was
think it
the
was just
director
more
who did I Am
lyrically, it had
Legend.
the depth of like, I don't know, a pothole.
It's very surface.
It
Yeah.
just was
No,
like, there was nothing
totally.
there to it. But
Well, there are some
Yeah.
people who
I guess
say
it
that
wasn't supposed
some people say the Keeps Getting Better Target commercial was better than the music video.
Yes.
It kind of
People do
was.
say that. Oh my gosh.
It kind of
Yeah,
was.
I agree.
But I
A little
liked
bit.
the comic book
Oh,
aspect of it, but I don't
No,
know.
I love when she's in the Keeps Getting Better video when she's with like the cat ears and has the gun and stuff. I love that look and all of that.
oh yeah, yeah.
A
And
little
like that
Oh,
cat
but I was
superhero.
gonna
suit.
say, who did the production for the Spirit soundtrack? The song she did, "Falling in Love Again," the
Oh,
cover.
that was Linda. That was Linda.
So that one is good. I feel like
Love that song. Oh my God.
Yeah.
yes.
It's an old
It
Doris
doesn't. I don't
Day
know if it
song.
exists.
Yeah, that's an
Oh,
old.
excellent.
It's a cover. Yeah,
I don't know if that exists on streaming, right?
it does not.
Not that I'm
Oh, what a
aware of.
shame.
And it's like, there's like multiple versions of it. And one of the versions is like almost 9 minutes long. Now, I love that
Yeah.
song, but it does get a little repetitive at that point. But it was
I mean, I totally
unique.
get it.
It was unique and it was really cool. The
Yeah.
Spirit,
Yeah.
that's right.
So cool.
She's done a lot of
So
like
cool.
unique one like off songs that you wouldn't really expect, right? Like the song for Spirit, or The Spirit, was that it? I know it was a movie. And then
I
there
think so.
was La Casa de mi Padre. That was
Yes, that's such a
fun.
good
Oh
song.
yeah.
With what was his name? Will Ferrell was in the
Yeah,
movie.
that one
Yes.
That
is
was
on
fun.
streaming. I think that's on Spotify.
No.
That song was like my sound, or like my phone ringtone for like ages.
Oh
It
my
was my
God.
ringtone for so long.
Yeah, her vocals in that song are insane. Just
Yeah.
so everyone knows.
It was like the first Spanish thing that she had done since, I mean, like fully Spanish. Or was
Oh
that
yeah.
after Alejandro?
I think that
Don't
was
remember his
before.
last name.
So
Was it
yeah,
before?
Fernandez.
I just know that
Yeah.
they filmed her
Yeah, it
lips
was a
in the
little
very
bit
beginning.
after.
It was very
Oh okay.
what's it called? Rocky Horror Picture Show, because they filmed her lips at the very beginning of the movie. to sing it, which I thought was cool.
I've never seen it.
I have not either.
I don't like Will Ferrell, but
You
I'm not a
don't?
huge
Why?
Will Ferrell fan, but my boyfriend is, and he's like, "I'll watch it." He's like, "Let's watch
Oh.
it." So the very beginning is just her
He's
mouth,
so funny.
like singing. Yeah,
I'll definitely watch the entrance then. The intro.
yeah.
No, the only thing I like from Will Ferrell is Elf.
Oh my god, and that's like probably one of my least favorite.
Oh my gosh.
I've seen it
so
a
I
million
can see
times.
why you. Yes. Well, I guess that's it. For
Yeah.
the episode.
That's so funny.
So thank you both for being on this episode. We are definitely going to have you on before we end the season. So, yay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.